And by we, I mean Career Showcase, Career Advancement Systems, and a group of companies that are here tonight to talk to you and interview you are here out of a conviction. And the conviction is a shared one that getting in front of people live is a lost art. It's just one of the biggest problems I think job seekers face. It is very, very hard to get that audience. And we believe that by providing that opportunity, by providing as many career-related services under one banner, under one roof, it works for everybody. Makes the companies happy because they shorten the loop on the decision to hire and actually getting that hire done. Many of our companies tell us they can cut that time by 50% by using this kind of a venue. It's a terrific thing. Job seekers tell me that in the work I've done with many of them, the same is true for them. They create more opportunities, get more options, and frankly, earn much more money. And you know, I'm saying this because the companies aren't in the room yet, and they'll probably hear me and I'll get in trouble for this later. How many of you had interviews when you actually think to yourself, why is that person interviewing me? That's not altogether the best either. So what we're finding is both sides, both parties, are enhancing their skill sets. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions of you, and what we're really doing is trying to make this 20 minutes while we're getting the companies organized much more meaningful for everybody and prepare you better to go and talk to the people you're going to choose to go and talk to. And if I ask the question, how many in the room have backgrounds that in some way, shape, or form encompass selling, sales? How many hands would go up? Okay. A very, very powerful question that was given to me years ago by a national sales manager of a Fortune 1000 company with 200 salespeople in his room, and they were doing a sales training seminar. He said, who among you wants to get up and tell the rest of the group how you can distinguish yourself from the rest in the room? You know what? He didn't get one volunteer. And yet, what's ironic, if you think about it, for every person who applies on Monster or a Career Builder or any of the sites, you think you have competition in this room. You don't. You're competing against thousands of people for the same opportunity. So it becomes critical that when you speak to someone in very succinct language, you can make them aware of what is the difference between what you can bring to the table and what other people may bring. And that burden is on who? And you know, companies tell me day in and day out, because I do training and I teach companies how to hire. They tell me the problem is many times we hire someone who appears to be best, but they weren't necessarily the best. Well, I'm not going to deny that some of it is theater, but I'm saying that if it is theater to some degree, you all better learn what Mr. Reagan learned years ago. I used to work in Washington, and I see one young lady smiling. I went to a press conference once, and he was asked a question. How did he feel being accused of being nothing but a second-rate actor? You know what his answer was? He said, can you think of better training for this job? Well, the fact of the matter is, when we are in an interview, guess what? We're on stage. And you only get one chance to make what? A first impression. So those first few minutes are absolutely critical. Now, what I did is I brought a PowerPoint tonight with me, and frankly, my style, and my partner will tell you, I'm happy you're doing a stream of consciousness, but what I'm going to do is just simply go through a few slides. These slides are the basis of a seminar that we do, a one-day seminar that we do, that we generally charge $2,000 for. Now, we can't do all of it here. We don't have time to do all of it. I don't want to slow down the process, and by the way, just so you know, there's a hook out there for me, too. When that hook comes, it's at a time when the companies are ready to come on stage, so don't worry, I'm not going to talk past content and getting you in front of employers. But let me have a little fun and just bring this up on the screen. Obviously, that's my company. Do you know your potential? Do you know how to sell it? Well, I'm here to tell you that in my judgment, more people fall in the latter category than the former. It is just the truth. Now, one of the things I believe is true, before you can go forward with a job search, you need to do some real introspection. That introspection begins with, what's the highest and best use of your skills and talents? What am I worth? Do you know how many people, when I ask them, tell me, I don't know. Now, who owns a home? Who owns a home? Anybody? Good. Would you put that house in the market and sell it without finding out what comparable sales are and what it may be worth? But yet we go to the job interview and we don't have any idea what we're worth. Well, I have news for you. If you don't know what you're worth, you're going to be a bargain for somebody else. So you need to establish what you're worth in the marketplace. It's fundamental. You need to have a marketing strategy. You need to sit down and create for yourselves a plan of action. And a plan of action doesn't mean go to Monster, go to Career Builder, see an ad in the Ledger on a Sunday or the New York Times. And, you know, I have people who tell me that, gee, I've been out there 3 months and nothing's happening. Well, what have you done? And I'll hear, well, I've made 50 overtures into the job market. And then I tell them a couple of things that are staggering. Does anybody have any idea in today's world, in today's job markets, how many overtures? That means efforts to network, that means answering ads, that means going on websites, that means all the things you do to get in front of other people, to have 10 meaningful interviews. Anybody want to take a shot at what the Wall Street Journal says is the number of outreaches you need? Anybody want to guess? Throw a number. So, how about 1,000? 1,000. Now, some people say, well, why are you telling me that? That's terrible. Not really. Because if you know what you're up against, then you can deal with it. Most of us suffer from one heck of a great case of underexposure. The world doesn't know we're there. And if we're the best kept secret in Glen Rock or Hackensack or East Orange or gosh knows where, you know what? They're not going to come looking for us. The onus is on us to go find them. This is one of the few settings, the job fair, where a number of companies come. And that's a pretty good clue. They have a very defined, real need. There are some employers here tonight that have very exciting positions. No kidding. I mean, I was tempted to get out from behind the desk and go over and say, here's my resume. For a couple of them, they're really that good. But let's go a step further. You need to have a strategy. Why do you need to have a plan? Did anybody think, and again, any of you have anything to do with sales, no sales? Have most of you reported at some point to a sales manager? Most people do. My question is, if you're a salesperson and you know, same young lady's nodding her head, and if you know what you have to do every day, why would they bother having a sales manager and paying somebody a lot of money? To get you to do it. Because it's just too easy to fool the person you're looking at in the mirror. And that's the way a job search works. One of the things I have my clients do, on their refrigerator or on their mirror, I have them have a little sticky, and it says, one meaningful thing I did that moved me closer to an interview today. And you know what? If you put up a series of zeros on that, don't ever wonder why you're not getting anywhere. So you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. That goes back to the next step, and it's very obvious. Now, you have to get the visibility. There are lots of ways to get visibility. And again, remember, I'm running through this very quickly because we're on the timeline. But I can talk to any of you who want to know more about how to generate activity. I can tell you there's one website that I've been referring people to, and I'll give a secret, but I'll tell you now. jobsbyfax, forgive me, jobsbyfax.com. Now, it's not free, and you're going to pay something for it, but you can get more exposure and more bang for the buck, if you will, with that site and getting your credentials in front of hundreds of companies in a short time frame. I have clients coming back and saying, I got 8 interviews, I got 10, I got 12. How many of you would love to see 10 interviews in the next few weeks? There are many ways you can get them, but you have to know how. I often believe, and I say this in the privacy of this room, many times I look at the clients I work for and I see their credentials and top avenue schools, top B schools, people who run companies. And sometimes I scratch my head and I say, but gosh almighty, I'm teaching them. Well, the fact of the matter is, how many times in the course of a life can most of us change jobs? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the most. I've been involved in over 3,000 job changes. I'm somewhat limited. I'm mechanically declined. You see, if you know how I use a computer. I don't add 2 and 2 too well, but I do know this business. And I know this activity. And I am telling you, those of you who choose to be students, who are willing to learn, you can change your life, not just your job. How high is up? Wow, far higher than most of you ever believed. If you take the shackles and the limits off your own thinking. It's just true. Create a schedule. If you're out of work, believe me, create a schedule. The days drift and turn into weeks. And fellas, I'm going to say this. We're the worst at it. I've been involved in over 2,500 exit interviews where people have been released by companies, and the companies have paid me to help them move on. Every single exit interview I've ever done that was with a woman, I had those issues. And there'd be about a minute or two, and the woman would shed a couple of tears, and so help me. Sit up straight and say, now what? Let's go. Women will do that. Men, well, I don't want to embarrass all of us, I'm one of them, right? But you know, guys, we tend to hide it, we tend to bury it, and we'll stick our head in the sand. And it's like, how many men ask for directions? It's like the same kind of thing. Anyway, the boys are not as good at it as the women. Getting started, well, commit to following a plan. Now, if you think you're an expert at job change, then what I'm saying is irrelevant. Maybe you are. Hope you are. If you're not, what color is your power sheet? Rites of passage over $100,000 a year. There are plenty of texts out there that you can get. Barnes and Nobles. If you don't want to do that, go to the library and borrow the darn thing. But get on a plan. Now, we've created a text that we were underwritten by AT&T to create, and it's a manual on job change. It's probably the only good thing I've ever written in my life. This is the only subject I know enough about to write something. But we've been told by many of the users that it is the most simple, straightforward guide that anyone possibly could get their hands on. And the bottom line is, I think this gentleman over here, when he's done writing, wants to give you something. Am I right? Okay, good. When you're ready, just bring it on up. So please, create a plan for yourselves. Do that. And if you're very limited in resources, say again. Got it. Okay. Get that plan. Create one. Live to it. As I said, you can get it in the book. You can get it in our manual, which is very cost effective and it works, and it's very, very good. Again, I'm here to help you. We'll talk later. You know, manage it yourself if you can. But one of the things I know, managing a job search while you are in a job is really tough. That's double duty. Because you know what? If you really, really put your mind to it, finding a job is a full-time job. I've got a personal belief. I think finding a job is harder than doing the job once you get the job. So if you happen to be in the traces, meaning if you are working and you want to stop and talk to me, I can tell you several ways you can jumpstart a job search, have it be very meaningful, and get you tremendous results. And you don't have to do that full-time. There are shortcuts. I can talk to you about that. Well, guess what? We saw the last line. You know what I'm implying. Now, I'm going to breeze through this one because, again, this is something that when I have been underwritten by a company, I take a half hour to go through this page. And basically what I'm establishing is a working relationship with my client. And I'm saying, for all intent and purposes, excuse me, I said, you have a sales manager, and I'm it. And what I tell them is, if you come to me and we report once a week, which is what I do with my clients, and they call me, and they haven't done anything, trust me, they would have better been served doing the things they didn't want to do and have to have me tell them it's their fault. And they love to tell me it's my fault. So when they do their work, then they can tell me it's my fault, and I'll accept the responsibility. Now, these are incredible stats, and I'm just backing up what I said to you about how many overtures in the marketplace you really need to make. And that's an approximate number. You know that's true. That figure includes attorneys and professionals. That's scary. Especially if you live in this inexpensive state. Or New York. My gosh, less than, and actually you break away from the professionals, meaning the attorneys and the doctors and that, it's down to about 3.5% to 4%. Earn over six figures working for a company. And I'm telling you, the body of knowledge, and this is what I would spend a lot of time on if we were in a real full-day activity, the body of knowledge necessary to market yourself near and over six figures is entirely different than what it takes at entry level and into the 50s and 60s and 70s. Whole different set of skills and level of sophistication. And that's something that I'll talk to anybody about if they want to outside, because you can break through into that club. It's not a private club, but it's just, if you know how to do it, you'll get there. Okay, one little clue. Most people love to get into a negotiations session with their potential employer, and they tend to believe they're worth more than somebody's offering them. Did anybody ever consider that what you're worth or what I'm worth is irrelevant? What's the position worth to the company? Get them on a whole different subject. You know, you speak with forked tongue, you describe an important position, and you don't pay much. And there are subtle ways you can do this and negotiate. And one of my clients who was here earlier tonight, when we were doing some taping and filming as we are now, she sat and talked about a $28,000 increase that she got, and it's on tape, the next month it will be on the screen. In a 3-minute period of time, she got $28,000 additional income because she knew what to ask them, not what to say, what to ask them. So knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you'll do. It's real. The 51,000 jobs open approximately every week, and 1 out of 3 jobs in America turns over every year, which is a statistic. The average tenure of a job in America is down to 2.7 years, friends. That's good news and bad news. You know, gold watch? Well, I'm not going to do that. Me, I'm the end of the gold watch era. I really am. 30 years and out, boy, that's not going to be found that much in the future. You will work for a willing employer as long as they are willing to spend money to buy your services. And you will work for them as long as you're willing and accept and think there's a quid pro quo if you think it's fair. But what that really implies is you're going to absolutely need, without a shadow of a doubt, to learn these skills, acquire these skills. Now, we're at a point now where our companies are ready, and I'm just going to cut through this because I want to get to the very end. There's my, you need to contact 1,000 to get to 10. Now, and that to me is the most powerful line that I can put up on the screen, and I'm doing it for a reason. I don't mean one day with me or one day with a career coach, but what I mean is, tell me who you think, now I got to be careful because all companies are. Tell me who you think in your adult life you're going to spend more time with than anybody else in your world. Think it's your husband, your wife, your significant other. It's the good people you're going to work with. And gosh almighty, you better like them. And they better be comfortable with you because it's a marriage. It really is a marriage. So, with all of that said, I'm here, I'm outside. After you've spoken to these companies and heard what each of them wants to say to you, I'm going to invite, very simply, any of you to come and see me outside the door, and I'll be glad to help in any way I can. So those are my thoughts, and now what I'm going to do is begin the process of asking the companies to come up and tell me about themselves. You saw how much time I had to do this. So what I'm going to do is kill this computer, give me 1 second.